Hey, welcome back to Two Ski Geeks, where we help you get your geek on and also to help advise on to buy what you like. And as my man John Michael would say, who's not with us today. However, there's a bonus because he recorded a show at a comic book store, which I need to edit today. Um, and I'll put that tour through that comic book store, some of the things that he bought uh, as a bonus video. So we'll post two videos today. This what I'm making today, and then a show video where John Michael went to a comic book store. So you get two for one today. And I know we've been away for a while. I apologize for that, but busy. And I was trying to find inspiration for a show. I've been buying books, of course, in between the time we last recorded, which is almost about 3 weeks ago. Forgive me for wiping my face. Almost 3 weeks ago. But tried to find an inspiration to do something that would be very interesting. So I'm also trying to find a new flow for the show. And also we have a new introduction graphic that I hope you really enjoy for our Two Ski Geeks opening and closing. So without further ado, I'm going to start as comic books began in the olden times. We're going to start with the golden age with books. And so I don't have a deep offering in Golden Age today, but we're going to start and then we're going to end similarly. And the ending will be like a forecast of a future show. And I won't spoil that right now, but let's get started with Golden Age. And I'm going to change camera perspectives and go to the display camera. Bear with me for just a second. And so we got the document camera coming. And with that, this book right here, Air Fighters, is 1941, I believe, is the age on this book for Air Fighters. And yes, it is in beautiful shape. I mean, beautiful shape. This is an old book, but it is pristine. I can't believe the bargain and the luck I had in procuring this book. It was not too expensive. And so, as you see, it was a 10-cent book in 1941, as most books were at that time. Just blessed to have this in the collection. And there are many other books out there so far as Golden Age books. And so it becomes very difficult when you're going to buy Golden Age books because of the fact that there are so many out there. I mean, of course, we're talking about comic books that range from the early 1900s. Most of the time people would say the 30s on through to the 1950s. So you got about 20 years. Well, no, we'll take it to the 1960s, plus to the 50s. Yeah. We'll take it because the Silver Age began in the 50s. So 20 years of books. And there's a plethora of genres out there. You've got things like horror, you've got detective stories, you've got jungle fantasies, you got sci-fi space. There are Westerns out there. There are books on war, as we have depicted here with this book here with Air Fighters, Air Boy, and Who is Air Boy, and of which Air Boy eventually had his own title so far as the hero Air Boy. And just as they were selling books to not just to appeal to kids, but also to young adults who are out fighting the war in World War II, still the youth. And so, of course, they were appealing to also young kids and young adults with these books. And just really, really great to have it. And the last genre I forgot to cover was romance that they also had during that time. And so when buying Golden Age books, I recommend not to try to just cover just based upon recommendations from me or whatever. Try to go with things that you know. Like for me, I used to enjoy listening to my uncles telling me about The Shadow and Doc Savage and Dick Tracy and Buck Rogers, sci-fi books and mystery books that I'm familiar with, that I grew up with. And then, of course, then you have from Marvel, you have the Human Torch and the Submariner and the Captain America. And so there's just so many things out there And people buy them people buy Golden Age books for the covers, of which there are tons and tons and of beautiful covers that inspire people that are inspiring covers to this day. Great artists out there, like the great Alex Schomburg. You have also Jack Kirby, Joe Simon, Bill Finger of Batman. There's just so many artists out there that did gorgeous work from that time period that we'll begin to cover eventually in time. But I can talk about that and just go on and on and on. But buy what you know and buy what you like is my recommendation, as my brother John Michael would say. Okay, I'm going to jump forward probably about almost 40 years into that and preparation for what James Gunn has coming next. And we've talked about this book in the past. And this is the first appearance of Amanda Waller, who is the founder and creator of the Suicide Squad. And as you notice, the writer on the book is John Ostrander here in the cover. On the cover, John Ostrander was the writer, and John Ostrander is an amazing writer who's given us thousands of books, just about, it seems like thousands of books from and characters from the Spectre to the Suicide Squad to Star Wars books. He's written on Batman. He has written this, just Wikipedia up John Ostrander, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, not Marvin, but the Martian Manhunter, and just an amazing writer, an amazing talent. He's still alive and with us. And if you ever get a chance to go to a comic book show and meet him, take some books with you to have him sign and at least meet and talk to him and figure out the inspiration behind his writing. Okay, next book we're talking about by Ostrander and the Suicide Squad is this book here, Secret Origins number 14. And it's a spinoff, as you see, from the Legends. And it says right here, spinoff, Legends chapter 22, is the fact that this is the origin of the Suicide Squad by Ostrander, as you see on the upper right. And I'm blessed to have this in my collection, and I'm also blessed. Sadly, there's some damage at the bottom here, but this is a newsstand, so it won't grade very high, but it'll grade pretty well. I anticipate maybe an 8, maybe an 8.0, barely stretching maybe to an 8.5. But see if I can get a better version of this. But for now, I'll take this newsstand, and it is the origin of the Suicide Squad. Moving forward to the next book would be this newest and latest edition from DC about Amanda Waller, who again is the founder of the Suicide Squad. And I think we've talked about this book on a recent video, but I've not read this yet. And I'm looking forward to getting this into my brain by reading it, but haven't quite gotten to it yet. There's a ton of things out there. And of course, the Suicide Squad is a James Gunn product. And the Suicide Squad, the second version, as well as the Peacemaker, as you know, are James Gunn's products, and they're out there on HBO Max and for your enjoyment. Highly recommended, and looking forward to other things that James Gunn is making and will make. And so on that note, we'll continue the flow of books in preparation for what James Gunn has coming up for us. And that is Flashpoint, which should be coming out very soon, in about a month or less. And so this is a spinoff. This is Flashpoint Doom. And this is about the Legion of Doom in Flashpoint. And I heard this, I've heard nothing but strong reviews about this story by Adam Glass. And they say it's pretty violent, but also very good. And as you can see, the dome in the back is the old Legion of Doom headquarters from the Super Friends, if you recall that. So this is another one that I'm looking forward to putting into my brain and injecting in by reading and taking the time. I haven't done it yet. I've had this book for about a month and a half, but I gotta get it into my head soon. So now we're going to the next James Gunn product, and this is the last one I'll talk about, is the Blue Beetle, and we've all seen the trailer for the Blue Beetle. This is Jaime Reyes, the I think he's the latest in the third version or third person to incarnate the Blue Beetle. And so this is not the first appearance of Jaime Reyes as Blue Beetle. I'll put that into the edits. I'll put that book and cover next to this one while I'm talking into the edits. And that was Infinite Crisis. As you see on the cover, Infinite Crisis was I think it was Infinite Crisis number 6. Number 5 or number 6 was the first appearance of Jaime Reyes. And of course, you'll have the cover there to look at it once I edit it and put that in. But I couldn't find it in the archives yet. I do have 2 copies of that book, but just wanted to share this with you. And that trailer for Blue Beetle looks very, very good. And I'm excited about seeing it. And so now I'm going to switch genres, well, not genre, because it's still sci-fi, but I'm going to switch titles completely and go to space on you guys. And that would be in things that I have read or completed. So in that regard, we're talking about Thrawn. This is a novel of Thrawn, and I audiobook listened to this story by Timothy Zahn. And so this is the story of as you begin to understand the military career of Thrawn. And Thrawn, of course, is important because he's coming forward pretty soon, as we saw in the trailers in Star Wars of Asoka and Asoka. And people are really excited about Thrawn coming. And so that would bring in this book here, as I usually have it over my shoulder. And this is Star Wars Heir to the Empire #1. And as I'm going to pull out the other book, the novel of Thrawn, and bring that in. And as you can see, I'm just going to turn it to the side. This comic book is based upon, again, the novel by Timothy Zahn that we just showed. And then I followed and finished up this just today, just this morning, as a matter of fact. Very good listen, very good audio book to listen to. And if you're going to read it, just take the time to read it if you have that time to take the time to read. I just didn't have the time because I'm reading several books at the same time. And so I wanted to, in between reading and doing other activities like walking the dog, I can listen to a book and save time as opposed to having to stop what I'm doing in order to read. So great story, great origins. You begin to understand that Thrawn is a Chiss. It is a race of folks in space called the Chiss that he belongs to, and their role in playing a part of the Ascendancy, which is a government, a space government called the Ascendancy, and the Chiss are a part of it. And so Thrawn is a military person who is helping to, of course, play the role for his people, the Chiss, and also the Chiss's role in maintaining the Ascendancy. And so look forward to, I hope you take the time to either buy, read, or listen to that Thrawn Ascendancy. And there is I think it's a 3-part novel, I believe. That's just the first part of it. Now we got Tales of the Jedi, Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, Golden Age of the Sith. This is another book I picked up over the last few weeks. I can't remember where I picked this up from, but great to have it in my collection. It's a beautiful book. It's Golden Age of the Sith #1. And so I want to collect all 5 and have those into my collection and begin to read them eventually. And but this is just another blessing to have in the collection with the Golden Age of the Sith. And then going even more modern on Star Wars. This was a hot book of this past week on the top 10 lists of just about everybody's list out there. And this cover here, which is just smoking. Star Wars Yoda by Takashi Ogasaki. Yeah, Takashi Ogasaki. Yeah, Takashi Ogasaki is the name of the artist. He also is famous for Afro Samurai. He's also famous for Star Wars Visions, the comic books and the cartoon, the artwork and a lot of those things, especially this with the dark inks, is Takashi's famous. It's what he's known for. He's also known for a great cover on Spider-Punk #1. He had a variant on Spider-Punk #1 that is a hot book. This book here that I'm touching here and that Spider-Punk #1, they are not cheap out the gate. You're going to pay up for these. And that Spider-Punk #1 probably is worth a little bit more even than this one. But this book just came out last week, and I had to pay up for this one. It was a ghost, straight ghost, so far as trying to buy it off the shelf at a comic book store or in a regular store for cover price. That was not going to happen. So I believe this is a 1 for 25 variant. So at the minimum, you would have had to pay at least about $25, $30 for it off the shelf. But I had to pay about double that in order to get this in my collection. Let you know, just that book is just that hot. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you some hot covers that sadly I didn't get a chance to be graded by Alex Ross. And so that goes with this one here. And what makes this relevant is the fact that I was supposed to get, how about we give the other one without a price tag sitting on the middle of it. This is one of the books I wanted to get graded by Alex Ross. The books were supposed to be in for grading to CGC by the 14th of April, and I just busted that deadline, didn't make it in. But that was one of the books, and this is Mr. Terrific on the cover. And sadly, I didn't get a chance to get that in to be graded by Alex Ross. So maybe one of these days at a comic book show or another offering for his autograph, I will send those in. This book in for grading from Alex Ross with Mr. Terrific. And if you're not paying attention, going back to James Gunn is going to use the Terrifics, a group that's a DC book. It's very similar in tone to the Fantastic Four, but it's a modern book. It probably came out in like 2017 or 2017, I believe, was when the Terrifics, and of course, Mr. Terrific leads the team of the Terrifics with Plastic Man and Phantom Girl, something like that. I can't think of it, something like that, but she's can become, well, you can't touch her. I can't think of the name of the word right now, but anyway, intangible. So just a real cool book. And also Metamorpho is in that group as well, the Terrifics. And what makes that relevant now, I keep moving. This is not an Alex Ross book, but this is bringing in relevance to Mr. Terrific. This is the first appearance of Mr. Terrific. And again, as I said before, an Ostrander book. And again, as I said before, Ostrander wrote tons of books on the Spectre. And he did this whole run. And this is like issue 54. And I think that run goes up to like 80 something. And again, as I said, John Ostrander has given us thousands of books to read, comic books to read out there. And but again, this is the first appearance of Mr. Terrific. And he was the creator and of Mr. Terrific in this story. Just a great introduction of that character. And ironically, what makes it so cool, going back to Alex Ross, this is an Alex Ross cover of the Spectre, one of the books I also wanted to get sent in to be graded, but again, didn't make that deadline. And so at another time, I'll try to get his autograph. And his autographs for the CGC grading, they were like $110 per book. So you see why I was kind of slow on, on getting those books in to be autographed by Alex Ross. But eventually, one of these days, I will get some books autographed by him. These are the ones that I would like to get autographed by him. This is another one with Johnny Thunder, with Hakeem, Jakeem being one of the latest incarnation of to become Johnny Thunder, so this was an original book from we talked about it in the past, Golden Age books. Is this the one? Yeah, we talked about Golden Age books in the past, even though he's not depicted in this book, but Johnny Thunder is in this volume of All-Star Comics #1 from way back in 1940. I can't think of it right now at the top of my head, but these go way back. Johnny Thunder is an old character. It's almost like you have your own personal genie in a bottle. Is what this is, and your genie is your superhero power. And I'm going to mosey on through these Alex Ross books. Justice Society, #26. Just love this cover. Alex Ross's his painting and his art is just amazing. Always is, always keeps you going. Then we have #24, Justice Society of America, #24, with Black Adam and the Atom, Flash, and the Liberty Bell, and Alan Scott, Green Lantern. I mean, just beautiful, just beautiful artwork that he brings to the table. #22, with old school with Earth 2 Superman, the old Superman from World War II, where he has the gray sideburns on him. That's the Superman that I ended up growing up on and enjoying back in the early 70s, late 60s, when you had the merging of, that's why they created all these different Earths back in the day, because they were merging Golden Age superheroes versus into the Silver Age and also the Bronze Age superhero times from the 60s and early 70s. So that Superman from way back in the day in the 40s and the 30s had, of course, gray hair. At least that's how they brought him in. And so that's how we introduced him. Last book I'll show by Alex Ross is this one right here. This Captain America #26 with the Red Hulk and Captain America. Holy crap. So beautiful. This cover is just ridiculous. Look at that. The veins, I mean, it's just sick. Well done, Alex. This is another book that I can't wait to get. When I meet him, I'm going to put this in an Alex Ross box. And when I find out the next offering for his artwork, I'm definitely going to get his autograph on some of these books. Okay, now we're going into just straight up cover love and new books that have come out recently that we may want to get your hands on. So this is a second print of Hallows' Eve #1. This is a new character in the Spider-Verse spinoff of like the Hobgoblin female who has the ability to she has these masks, magical masks, of which when she puts them on, she incarnates the mask or becomes one of the characters of the mask. And one of the characters that she becomes is this werewolf character, or as Hallows' Eve, but a werewolf as Hallows' Eve. Pretty cool concept, and I think that this is a character, if you want to invest, I can't remember what Amazing Spider-Man book she's in when she premieres, but you may want to get your hands on, and I'll put that into the edits as well for the first appearance of Hallows' Eve. But that's a character you may want to get in early, because it seems like she's going to be around for a while, and she's pretty hot so far as the writing material. Then we got this is just straight cover, just love the cover, by Will Jack. This Catwoman #52. Will Jack just kills it, just slays the cover. The cover says it all. So Catwoman #52 by the artist Will Jack. And then going back to Star Wars. Now this is crazy. I had this full run. I bought these off the shelf back in 2016, 15, 16. This whole run so I thought the entire run of Star Wars Kanan. And I try to get all the variants and whatever, because I knew not to miss out on Star Wars books. And sadly, out of all the issues that I had for the whole run, I didn't have this book until within the last month. I could not find it, and it seemed there was a gap. So I had to pay up on this one to buy this book. And I see a little damage here on the bottom right corner. There's a little bit of damage here. I don't know if you can see it. There it is, that crease on the corner. I'm going to have that pressed out. But I had to get this book to complete the run. And this is one of the more valuable books in this run, because it's the first full appearance of Ezra Bridger, first full of Sabine Wren, and I can't think of a few other characters, but these are the first full appearances. I'm sorry, Ezra's right here. And of course, Kanan's in the front, but Ezra's here. But the first full appearance of them, and that's how it's credited as such, even though they have cameos in #1 of this run. Okay. Now we're going to move forward into more cover love. Man, this book, I just love this cover. And every time I see it or have an offering, get an offering, I think it's like my third copy of this book. This is X-Men #20 with Mystique doing different characters and faces, and then Xeroxing. It is just, or copying it is just amazing. That cover is just sick. It's a beautiful concept. I can't remember who the artist is on this. I have to try to find that, but I love this cover. Just plain love it. And the fact that it's painted is just more glory for the artist who did an amazing job on that. Going back to the artist Will Jack, but changing covers, characters and titles. And that would be Action Comics number 1053 with Power Girl by Will Jack on this cover. Another hot book that you will have to pay up a good deal in order to get this book. And it is really becoming ghost, even where you cannot, if you find it on eBay, you are really going to have to step up and pay. You're probably going to pay more than $100 for it. Ghost book for cover price. Will not find it at cover. Next one, another new character that's been introduced in the title Spider-Man, #7. And this is a variant on the book #7 of the character Spider-Boy. And in particular, this cover is pretty doggone hot as well, and it looks fantastic as well. And this is a book, again, that you're going to have to pay up for. But I'm glad to have this one in my collection. It's just beautiful. I can't say anything more than that it's just plain beautiful. And then staying in the spider type vein would be this Marvel Voices Spider-Verse #1. And we know the Spider-Verse movie is coming out pretty soon as well. Let me see if I can try to bring it all the way up. I'm not missing too much of anything. So you got Miles, you got Spider-Punk, Spider-Gwen. I can't remember what the name of this character here is, but that daggone Spider-Punk in the middle. Ooh, John Zhang is the artist on this. It just smashes this one. And much like this one, there are virgin variants where there are no titles or no title graphics on these. The virgin variants are more expensive, but I ain't trying to pay that much for them. And actually, I do like the titles. I like the title graphics on my books. So that way, they also help me understand what the devil I'm putting into my collection, because it's hard to remember if you don't have the words on the book, figure out what the devil you done purchased. So I like the graphics. A lot of people don't, but I'm one who does. Okay, and now we're going to change characters again. Usagi Yojimbo. Now, this is not the first volume. This is the second volume. You can tell because the production is, production is Mirage Comics, which is the second volume, because the first one was Fantastic Graphics, or something like that. for Usagi Yojimbo #1. And that Usagi Yojimbo #1 by Fantastic Graphics is pretty pricey too. You're probably, for a raw book, well, it's probably about $300 in Fantastic Graphics. And I'll put that into the edits as well. What you're looking at so far is Fantastic Graphics #1. For a raw book, at least $300 for the first appearance of Usagi Yojimbo and Fantastic Graphics. This again is volume 2, #1. And this is #2 of this same volume #2. Of course, now you have Usagi with the Ninja Turtles. And I'm not sure, I can't remember who wears the red bandana for the Ninja Turtles. I'm not that familiar, but still love the Ninja Turtles. Just don't read them as much as I should. And that was also a younger generation's book. I was in college when that book came out, just about. So books that I bought, I'm going to rush through now. This is the second copy of this book, but this is the first time I have a newsstand by the barcode of this book. It's beautiful shape. Spirits of Vengeance with Venom here drooling on himself upside down. Just a hilarious cover. But I always did love this cover. I bought this, I think when I first came to the Army way back in the day. And I think this came out probably like 92, 93. Still a beautiful cover to this day. Ghost Rider Blaze, #6, Spirits of Vengeance. Then I bought this one as well, The Century. And if you're not tracking this series here with The Century #1, it is a very pricey book, a very pricey book. And so this is the third issue, #3 from that series, written by Paul Jenkins, and the artist was Lee. I can't think of it, and not Jim Lee. It'll come to me, and I'll try to put that into the edits as well. But I always love that artist's work as well. He also did great work on Namor. Those covers that he did on Namor, the Submariner, were beautiful as well. Just great covers and great artwork by that artist. And it'll come to me later. Anyway, more books that I bought. What If Legion Had Killed Magneto? It's a cool concept. Great cover. I love this. And it's not what you expect, it's what you see at the bottom. What if Legion had killed Magneto? Great cover. Then we have the Heralds of Galactus. And this is #2. I don't have #1 yet. I've heard good things about this book, which is one of the reasons why I saw it. I wanted to pick it up. Cheap books, because all these books that I'm showing to you now, they were like in the $2 bin at Collector's World in I can't think of what part of Virginia, but in the northern Virginia, and I can't think of the name of the doggone store. Annandale. Annandale's the name of the town that I picked these up from. #3 of Heralds. I love this with Frankie Ray and Johnny Storm. They were always a couple, even in the Fantastic Four, and I think this was in the 200s, probably maybe like 220 or 230 or something like that, when Frankie Ray was first created by John Byrne. And again, Frankie Ray and Johnny Storm were a flinging couple. So then we got Captain Carrot, #7. Balzar the Barbarian. Love this cover here too. This is my second copy. I actually bought this off the comic book shelf, off the 7-Eleven shelf back in the day. My original copy has the barcode in it. It's a newsstand of this book. But I love this cover. Captain Carrot and the Amazing Zoo Crew, #7, with Balzar the Barbarian. Just a crazy concept of the Justice League as zoo animals. Love this book. And then I also found, which I never had because I didn't keep collecting at that time, newspaper delivery money. But #15, I've never seen this book until recently. Crisis on Earth C-Minus book 2. That is just cover. It's too funny. But this is another amazing book to have in the collection. That's just fun. And I'm going to move through. Now I'm going to start moving through really quick. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, #9. In this, we actually have a Hitler, and you have Adolf Hitler on the cover. And so that, if you don't know, Adolf Hitler covers with him appearing on the covers are in high demand, and we all know why. But regardless of, they're in high demand, and this is just cool to have in my collection. And yeah, I did have to pay up a little bit, as you see on the cover, and there's some damage along the spine. As you can see, there's some damage along the spine, and also creases in the title square, but it's okay. I'm pretty glad to have this in my collection, regardless of the damage. Okay, now we're going to start going into some of the magazines that were picked up, and I'm going to rush through these as quickly as possible. Conan Saga, and I can't see the issue number on this. This is number 91. Number 91. No, this is from October 1991. October 1991. And I don't know what the number is on this, but this came out in 1991. Alrighty, then we've got Savage Sword of Conan. In this case, I can tell the number. It's issue number 216. Love this one. Love the Egyptian theme on this one. Just a cool cover. Another book that was similar, that came out based upon a TV show when I was a kid, Space 1999. Love this book right here. Number 1 of the series on Space 1999. $8 cover, it wasn't bad. Was not mad about that at all. Alrighty. We got The Spirit, number 23. These were books that came out, I believe, in, I want to say in the mid 80s. I believe these were magazines that came out in the mid 80s. And Will Eisner, if you are unaware, Will Eisner is one of those recognized geniuses and artists in comic books from the golden age. These are reproductions, and these are reproductions of his work in a magazine form. But when people are recognized for being great comic book writers and or artists, they typically are handed an Eisner to let you know how important Will Eisner is to the comic book industry, to have an award named after him. So that was number 23. This is number 27. Number 35. Crazy cover, funny as hell. Anyway, number 35. Number 37. Giving her a stank eye. Just too funny. Okay, and now I'm going to get ready to wrap this show up. Going back to the future. I picked this up. This is a Smithsonian book called AfroFuturism. This is a Smithsonian book for a part of the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. There's a new branch of that museum called AfroFuturism. And this is about sci-fi and concepts of Africans, how Africans and African Americans can see themselves in the future and being involved in sci-fi. So this came in last week, and I'm just glad to have this in my collection. Even mentioning like Octavia Butler, and who is a phenomenal writer. This one here is, this picture that I'm touching right here is part of it was like the final panel of, let me see here, what is it? It's called Weird Fantasy story called Judgment Day. And what is crazy in the fact that this book almost didn't even make it onto the shelf because of the fact that this is the first time we are seeing a Black man appearing as a hero in a comic book. in 1953. And we didn't know he was Black until the very last panel when he takes off his helmet. And as you can read from what I'm showing here, and if you can read the depictions here, you can pause it and read this on your own, that this astronaut with his helmet on, majority of the story, is a Black man. And so, yeah, this book almost didn't make it onto the shelves back in the day in 1953. Again, with Octavia Butler, we're talking about not just comic books, but music and Earth, Wind, and Fire, and their concepts of their album covers that were amazingly sci-fi-ish. Parliament and the doggone the mothership down below here. Grace Jones with her concepts of being Grace is the best way I can describe it, because Grace was always odd. Lieutenant Uhura's uniform, all kinds of things are here in this book, and also, of course, in the museum. So when you come to DC, make a trip to go over to the African American Museum. And also not just to see, the history of African Americans in this country, but, there's also how African Americans see themselves future-wise. And just great stuff in this book. N.K. Jemisin. I mean, just so many that are being shown in these books. And some of the artists and writers that I've shown on this show, Okorafor, I can't think of her first name, but her last name is Okorafor. And then Eve L. Ewing. There's a lot of folks out there of African descent and African Americans and Africans who are into sci-fi. And so this shows also how Africans, even in ancient Africa, have artwork that is futuristic as well. And of course, we also have the pyramids. So all of these are tied into what would be considered Afrofuturism, and just fantastic to have this book in my collection. I'm very proud. If you guys didn't know, with this, I love this one here. With Patti LaBelle, when she first came out with LaBelle, they were very futuristic in their outfits and their performances. Do your research on Patti LaBelle, especially with LaBelle with the early group. Look at this costume that they used to wear. Just crazy. Love this. And so, and of course, Jimi Hendrix, and I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. And the last thing I'm going to show, as I said, I'm going to end the show how I started. And that last book was kind of like put us as a warm-up. But this right here is a book about Arturo Schomburg. And Arturo Schomburg is a Black historian who built a library in New York. And as you did, the Schomburg Museum is still there to this very day. And he was a Black Latino, or he was a Black Puerto Rican, I guess, a person who had Black skin color, and left from Puerto Rico in the late 1800s, because he was born in like 1880 something or 78, I believe, and came to New York and had an amazing collection of books. And he came with a purpose to help educate people and build libraries, and making sure that persons of color knew that they had a role in history, because of something that his teacher said a long time ago, that Africans didn't have a role in history. So he made it his life's mission to show and collect the books that proved where African Americans were involved in history, as opposed to what folks had saying. And what makes this, I'm going to switch camera perspectives now, from that one to the new, to my face. What makes that this book so important is the fact that he is not the same Schomburg that we know in comic books. Alejandro Schomburg, or Alex Schomburg, who did a ton of books. Alejandro or Alex Schomburg, who did comic books from the 30s till he died in 1998. He was born in 1905 and lived till 1998. So you can imagine the amount of work, and do the work on that. Do your Googling work on Alex Schomburg, and then you also have Arturo Schomburg. Now, they are both Puerto Ricans. And of course, they have the Schomburg family name, and Schomburgs were a family of immigrants from Germany that moved to Puerto Rico. Now, I don't know if they're related or not. Of course, they got the same last name, and they're both from German descent, from the family Schomburg that moved from Germany. So they may not be brothers, but I got a feeling they're related some kind of way. So going to what I said at the very beginning of the show, I'm going to do a Schomburg show between Arturo Schomburg and Alejandro or Alex Schomburg, and show you a little historical show between the two Schomburgs, and how important they are to how we live our lives and the things that influence us to this very day. And if you didn't know, there's a Schomburg sci-fi, and it's based upon both Schomburgs, really. There's a sci-fi convention in New York that happens on a yearly basis, and so it's just really cool that we have that common name of Schomburg representing people of African descent and in history for the United States and the Americas. And so I'm going to wrap up this show. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a blast doing this with you. Please like and subscribe to our show. And I always forget not to say that at the beginning, and I need to start putting that in my notes to say that at the beginning. Please like and subscribe to our show. I hope you found the content valuable, and I hope you continue to tune in with us and stay geeked up. Get your geek on with us, buy what you like, and we're out of here. Tuesday Geeks out.